Welcome to Success Weekly with James Tharris, a weekly dose of thought-provoking ideas and helpful tips on improving your mindset. And now, here's your host, James Tharris.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Success Weekly. I'm your host, James Tharris, and today we're going to be talking about handling failure, or ready, set, fail. Michael Jordan said the following: I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Abraham Lincoln said, success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. That's powerful. Both of those are powerful, but that last one with Abraham Lincoln, going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Wow. See, the success equation simply states that in order to succeed, you must first fail, and fail a lot. You're going to fail a heck of a lot more than you succeed. I promise you that. Oftentimes, the reason a business fails is because of poor leadership and management than because of the product or service. And this is why we always see these banners go up on a building that read, under new management. Have you seen those before? If not, look around, you'll see them occasionally. In the sports team world, if a team has a long losing streak, the person to get fired is usually the coach. The owners of the team know that if the coach is doing the right things, that the team is going to win more. And players will only often perform as well as the coach can lead them to perform. So it's his or her job to bring out the best in their players. When I was a freshman in high school, we did this experiment where we grew this little bean in a see-through plastic cup so we could kind of see the process. Maybe you've done the same. Each of us was given a cup, a seed, and some dirt, and we were told how much water and sunlight would be needed. Then it was up to each of us to tend to it over the course of several weeks. The teachers cautioned us that some of the plants may take a little bit longer to germinate than others, and that this was natural. So we put our plants in a windowsill to get adequate sunlight and water them daily, or in my case, some of us, we forgot to water them. And as soon as the first blossom appeared, we all got very excited and a little nervous. You see, if our plant wasn't blossoming within a day or two after the first one, some of us grew impatient and dug up the seed to see what was taking so long. Unfortunately, doing this interrupted the natural course of the germination process, and it actually slowed down the progress. And in some cases, the seed died and the project had to be started all over again. So it's a simple experiment that taught us to be patient and to continue tending the plant, even when we couldn't see anything happening right away. In advertisements for my martial arts school, we tout how students will learn more respect, focus, and discipline, as well as developing more confidence in themselves. So parents will see the ad and they'll call the school and enroll their child. And of course, they're expecting to get the results that we talk about in our advertisements. But over the years, we've gotten pretty good at identifying common traits in parents and kids that let us know if our program will be a good fit for them. See, we're interested in students who need help developing a better self-image or need help improving their focus or their discipline, and we're less interested in bringing in students who want to pursue the martial arts as a sport. We interview each of the families interested in our program, and we let them know up front that there are going to be challenges and that their child is probably going to want to quit at some point. In fact, we tell them that their child is probably going to want to quit at least 3 times before earning their black belt. Developing skill, whether it's mental or physical, takes patience and consistent effort. As a result, occasionally a parent will pull their child from our program at the first sign of struggle because they don't want to see their child frustrated or unhappy. Let me tell you something. Replacing old habits with new habits or not achieving a goal when expected is mentally challenging. There's no fun in failing. So the student's thinking must be reframed, and in many cases the students' parents' thinking must be reframed. We have to help them understand that struggles, challenges, and failures are part of succeeding in our program and in life. Listen, when we contract an illness, we often take medicine to help us heal faster. Now, let me ask you something. Do most medicines taste good? Does getting a shot in the arm feel good? How about studying for a test? Is it fun? No, no, and no. So we do those things not because they don't taste good, or because they don't. We do those things not because they taste good or they're fun. We take those medicines, the shot in the arm, and burn the midnight oil to get a result. The result is much more important than the taste of the medicine, the feeling of the pain from the shot, or the sleep we lost. We must endure something in order to see the result, and this is where patience comes into play. See, when it comes to developing skills like focus and self-discipline, two of the traits that will largely determine how successful a person becomes, by the way, many people run and hide at the first sign of struggle after they set a goal. Listen, if lasting confidence, laser-like mental focus, and self-discipline came easy, there'd be no need for programs like ours. Famed speaker Jim Rohn said that things that come easy don't last, and things that last don't come easy. Powerful, powerful words. In our program, when a student is dealing with a challenge, it indicates that we've identified a weakness. Much the same way a doctor asks a series of questions, maybe asks us to stick our tongue out, listens to our heart, tells us to, puts a stethoscope on our back and tells us to breathe deeply, or turn your head and cough twice, whatever he asks you to do. He does these things to find out where the problem is. Then he makes a diagnosis and prescribes a treatment plan to address it. Simple as that. Now, unless the patient follows through with the treatment plan, can he really expect to get better if he only does 20% of what the doctor recommended? In many cases, the answer to that is no. Unfortunately, in order to change, we must endure some discomfort. A muscle cannot and will not grow unless it has been sufficiently stressed repeatedly until the body adapts by growing stronger. That's how the body adapts to breaking down a muscle and stressing it. It grows stronger as an adaptation, and then it can handle more. The very same thing must occur for a student to develop increased confidence, respect, focus, or self-discipline, or physical traits like speed or power. Change and improvements take time and patience. In our program, if a child has respect issues, for example, they'll be gently corrected by our instructors until they adapt and begin demonstrating more respect. The corrections are then replaced with praise. The end result is that the child gets along better at school and at home. If the child has focus issues, again, they'll be gently corrected and have the concept of focus continually reinforced during each class. When the child's focus improves, his grades typically improve as a result. If the student has a self-discipline issue, one of the more common issues that cause students to drop out, they are going to receive feedback from their instructors and senior ranking classmates to try and help them overcome their natural inclination to procrastinate. When self-discipline improves, nearly everything else in their life improves as a result. For a student with confidence or self-esteem issues, there are going to be some additional challenges in our program because they're going to have to overcome the fears of speaking loudly, interacting with others, or performing in front of groups of people. Those are things that happen in our classes on a regular basis. But once the student becomes comfortable or a little bit more comfortable with these things, their confidence grows and their entire life begins to change as a result. See, if you want to succeed, if you want to grow and develop, you must be willing to endure a little discomfort. You must be willing to come out of your comfort zone. Successful people find a way. Unsuccessful people find an excuse. You are going to have to make a lot of mistakes, and you're going to have to make some tough decisions. Things aren't always going to be fun in whatever it is you're trying to become successful in. They're not always going to be easy or convenient either, folks. Things occasionally are going to be downright challenging. If you're a chef, if you're a baker and you want to bake a cake, you need all the right ingredients first. Then you've got to put that sucker in the oven and let it bake until when? Until it's ready. before you try putting the frosting on it. See, if you decide to take a shortcut by leaving out one of the key ingredients, then can you expect the cake to turn out properly? No. If you try to hurry the process along by setting the oven to, say, hellfire instead of the 350 degrees as indicated in the recipe, then you're going to end up with a burned cake that nobody wants to eat and wasted time, money, and energy, as well as disappointment. If you remove the cake from the oven after only 5 minutes, another shortcut rather than the 15 minutes indicated in the recipe, and you end up having to put it back in the oven until it develops the proper consistency, the consistency that will only happen with the right ingredients, the right temperature, and the right amount are used. So in order for you to get the results, you have to follow the recipe. And if you try messing things up, you're going to have to go back and do it again. So if you take the cake out of the oven early, you're going to end up finding out it wasn't ready. You're going to have to put it back in the oven, which takes extra time and effort. And in some cases, it can really ruin the outcome of the cake at the end. There are no shortcuts. How much time will it take for you to be successful at something? Just like those little bean plants I talked about earlier. It will be different for each person, and attempting to hurry the process will only extend the amount of time it takes, or it might kill the will of the person altogether and have to be started all over again if it ever gets started to begin with. So listen, step out and take some calculated risks and anticipate some fumbles. Just be sure to get right back up again and continue until you are successful. Just like the old story about the little engine that thought he could, and you keep trying until you finally get it, right? Listen, in our martial arts program, at the very time that a parent removes a child from our program to relieve some stress in that child's life, it's also the very time we were beginning to see growth in the child. So like the bean plant seed, they were dug up before germination had a time to complete itself. So the child may have been struggling a little bit, probably dealing with a little fear or doubt, and this understandably creates a temporary feeling of uncomfortableness for that student. But that is exactly what the student is supposed to be going through and feeling when they are coming out of their comfort zone. Comfort and success are as opposite as oil and water. The real fun for students begins when the student overcomes an obstacle and has the realization that they can do more than they originally thought they were capable of. Then they have fun because now they're what? They're good at something. So sadly, just like the baker who removes the cake too early, some students remove themselves from the oven, which is basically the process or our program. They do it too soon, and then they never fully develop. And that's why we have so many people that we ask, did you take martial arts? And they raise their hands and what happened? And they'll come up with a litany of reasons why they didn't make it, when some of those reasons are probably valid, but I guarantee there's a lot of those things that they're not valid. They'll give you a reason when the real reason was they had to go up against something that they weren't comfortable with. They had to challenge a fear. They had to challenge a doubt. They had to do something in the program. Maybe it was breaking a board for the first time. Maybe it was free sparring for the first time, or learning a weapon, or going to a competition, and they just didn't feel comfortable in those situations, and so they stopped doing it to get away from feeling uncomfortable. Unfortunately, they also left the growth phase. They went back to the comfort zone, and there's no growth in the comfort zone. You've got to come out of the comfort zone, outside of the four walls or the circle of that comfort zone, and that's where growth is. You see, you're sitting in your house, your four walls in your house is comfortable. You are comfortable to be yourself and do whatever you want to do and eat whatever you want to eat and be whoever you want to be. But as soon as you leave the comfort of those four walls, there's a challenge. You've got to interact with other people. It's not just through a computer anymore. It's not just through watching somebody on television. You now have to interact with people at the store. You have to interact with your neighbors. You have to interact with people in traffic. And that's challenging. But if we allow that challenge to work on us and we stick it out, it helps us to become stronger. And so we've got to learn how to fail sometimes. I'll tell you what, guys, I teach this stuff for a living, success principles, but I'm certainly not perfect at it. I will still have moments in my week where I lose control of my temper, or I lose, I'm not as respectful as I should be at some point, or I get frustrated and I let it show and I complain, just like anybody else would do. But you know what? That's me working on myself. When that happens, I stop and I reflect on it and go, wow, I didn't realize I still had that in me. I didn't realize I still had the potential to lose my cool like that. And therefore, that's why I keep going. That's why I keep trying. And I say, wow, this is it's a never-ending process. It's a never-ending project. But isn't that a great thing that it's never-ending? Because it gives us a purpose in life. It gives us something to look forward to and something to get up the next day for, to work on ourselves. We're trying to work on this masterpiece, which is our lives. And we're going to have to learn to fail a lot in order to do that. So if you fail at something a few times and then you realize, you say, oh, I'm just not any good at this, and you stop doing it, well, there is a time and place for that. Believe me, there's a time and place to cut things loose and realize that you're out of your depth in certain areas. But if you know it's something that's going to really make you a better person, maybe it's public speaking. You try a public speaking course and you get up there and you totally bomb. Or you go into an open mic night. You want to be a comedian. You go up to the microphone and you take your 3 minutes on stage and you totally bomb. And you say to yourself, oh, that was so embarrassing, I'll never do that again. Well, then you can also never become a fantastic public speaker, or you can never be a comedian. It'll just never happen. So the best of the public speakers get up there and they fail and they listen to feedback from people that have done better than them. In some cases, people just like them, their peers, and say, you did this and this well, but maybe you didn't do this so well and you could have done better here. And for somebody doing a stand-up comedy, same thing applies. Maybe their timing was just a little bit off. And so they weren't good at it. And so they try it again. And then maybe the next time they get a few laughs, but then they bomb the rest of the set. They keep trying it again, and their mentors, as I talked about in last week's episode, their mentors teach them things that they should be doing and just little tweaks to make to the way that they're saying something or their timing. And instead of getting just 2 laughs, they get 6 laughs. And then maybe they bomb the rest of the set. Well, if they continue doing that, you can see the result is maybe they'll get through an entire 3 minutes and not bomb once. But it's going to take 5 or 6 or maybe 10 tries to get to that point where they can do those 3 minutes and not bomb. And then they're ready for the next challenge. So they might get comfortable on that little stage in that little comedy shop with all those same people that are there every week. So what do they have to do next? In order to grow again, they've got to take it up to the next level and maybe go to a larger comedy club or go to a brand new one in a different city or different area where there's going to be brand new people and nobody there to help them again. And they're going to feel that sense of fear and uncertainty, and that might cause them to bomb again. And then they go through that same process again, and then pretty soon they get comfortable in a certain area or region. Maybe they're doing it in 2 cities in their state, and then pretty soon they go around the entire state, and when they get comfortable with that, they enlarge it to 5 states or something like that, and pretty soon they become worldwide, and that's how you get people like Eddie Murphy or George Carlin or Richard Pryor or some of the big comedians of today. That's how it's done. They do a lot of failing. You can do the same thing with a fighter. A fighter gets in, they get their bell rung a few times, and they either decide this is not for me, or doggone it, I'm going to keep failing at this until I learn how to do it right. And that same thought process can be put into literally anything and everything that you're trying to do in your life. So if you don't have to do something as big and bold as those things. It might be something just as simple as starting your own business. Guess what? When you start your own business, you will fail, and you will fail a lot. Let me tell you from personal experience. But when those wins finally come, they are worth all of those failures. All those failures did was teach you lessons that help benefit you and bring wisdom to you. So now when you operate your business with a different mindset than than what you had prior to those failures. So you see, all of those failures that you had help mold you and make you stronger and wiser, so you don't continue making those same mistakes. And after a while, you run out of ways to fail. You start succeeding. I hope that helps you guys this week. Let that sink in. If you've got any questions, you'd like me to give you some advice on something you're trying to do and be successful in, and you're failing and you're not sure what is going on, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to help. And guys, just keep at it. That's the main thing. Persistence is the key. keep doing it, keep going back, and stick your foot in your mouth and let things happen as they happen. Fail a lot, learn a lot, and then you will also succeed a lot. This is James Tharis, until next week, saying be successful.
That's all for this week. Tune in next week for another episode of Success Weekly. Do you have an idea you'd like James to talk about in an upcoming episode? Post your comments and be sure to share this podcast with friends.